illness isn't a joke. I'm a diagnosed bulimic, but I'm in recovery. Recovering from the illness that has had control over me for more than a year. It has clouded my mind, telling me my worth and what I deserved. I don't expect you to understand, but for those that experience what I am about to share with you, I stand by you. For those who haven't, listen. For the past year, I've had an eating disorder. I know what you might be thinking right now. She's not skinny. What a joke. She doesn't have an eating disorder. What you may not know is that eating disorders aren't always the sick, thin women that are portrayed in media. Most demons are different. It isn't romanticized. It isn't like in the movies. It's hell. And it controlled me. In fact, it still does, because I'm far from full recovery. Because recovering is really hard. Most of the time, I feel like nothing's working. The medications, the therapy sessions, it feels like I'm going to be stuck. Stuck playing the same game. Relapse after relapse after relapse. I was always the big girl, always the chubby one, always the fat friend, always the ugly sibling, always the other one. Terrified of smiling in photos, the fear of my face being too big, too fat, too imperfect. The way my thighs would stick together in photos. The way my chin seemingly had a twin. The way my arms would double in size and press against my body. The hatred when I looked in the mirror, the disgust and the jiggle as I walked. Examining every inch of my fat body, every finger, every limb, everything. But no matter how many diets I tried, how many foods I classified good or bad, I was still fat. Every glance I took at my reflection, every grimace I noticed. Next came the restriction. First, I took away my lunch, not bothering to eat breakfast, giving away what my mom had packed for me, because I didn't want to be fat at school or bloated in my swimsuit. The next step was one day. I was ecstatic, and the happiness when I went 2. And I remember the feeling of water sliding into my empty stomach because I hadn't eaten for a week, and that was my reward. The feeling when I fell back on my bed after getting up because I was so dizzy. The feeling of weakness became my strength. But then my pride diminished, resorting to stuffing my face with my insecurities because I was so hungry. And then hate, because you worthless piece of crap, you failed, that voice told me. That voice that was helping me, promising a better me. Helping me achieve what I believed for so long would make me happy. Next came the vomit, flushing my food down that pristine bowl. Down, down, down it went. So the calories couldn't make me fatter. It was another sensation, like I was doing something right. I didn't care about the cavities I started getting. I didn't care that I had terrible mood swings. I didn't care about the marks on my hands. I didn't care about my thinning hair. I didn't care that blood came out. I didn't care about any of it. Because all I saw was the numbers. All I saw was that I wasn't good enough. Wasn't skinny enough, wasn't skinny at all, wasn't anything close to perfect. And instead of enjoying a Halloween concert with my peers, I was busy praying that just maybe I'd lost those 2 pounds. Next came the depression. Chills all over my body. And no matter what I did, I couldn't erase the numbing chill that I felt. An overwhelming sadness that never seemed to go away. Couldn't do anything to make it better. Couldn't smile, couldn't laugh at my older brother's antics, couldn't make jokes, couldn't meet my friends, couldn't be me. And all I felt in a classroom of smiling, laughing peers was the tears threatening to drop from my eyes. The disappointment when I realized that no one wanted to talk to the sad girl. 0 period ban. Hey, Autumn, you look like you need to call the suicide prevention line. I'm fine. B period math. Hey guys, if you have depression, just 8 of these and you'll be dead. Hilarious, because that can never actually happen, right? No one would want to kill themselves. right? Wrong. Prior to that day, the search began. The search for a way out. What drugs would be my escape? How to remove the blade from a razor? All these ways, just in case I couldn't hang on anymore. My walls were beginning to tumble down. Being alone in a room full of people, having no one to talk to because you feel like no one would understand. Because having an eating disorder isn't just skipping 1 or 2 meals. Having an eating disorder is constantly thinking about your next meal, obsessing over the calories and thinking that you will lose control and eat over how many calories the voice in your head calculated for you. Having an eating disorder is being utterly terrified of something that all humans need to survive. It's hard when it affects the people that love you. Like when your little brother says a certain food will make him fat, how he remembers you listing off the calorie counts of foods that he loved, and how he was there when your mom discovered the cuts on your legs. Or like how when your mom walks into your room and you're laying there with tears streaming down your cheeks, as she begs you to please tell her what's wrong. Tell her why her little girl can't smile, why her baby can't get out of bed, what took away your bubbly personality. And you can't tell her because it would break her heart if she knew that you don't want the life that she gave you anymore. Mental illness isn't a joke. It's real, and it kills. I wrote that passage about a year or so ago. No, I'm not fully recovered, but I can confidently say that I'm well on my way to being there. For example, a few weekends ago, I went to Chipotle with my family. It was my little brother's first time eating at the restaurant, so he ordered what I did. He ended up not liking their corn, so he gave it to me. As I started eating, my older cousin says, "Hey, watch it, Adam. You don't want to get fat, do you?" What would I have done in this situation a mere couple of months ago? Absolutely destroyed myself over it. I made a diet plan to starve so no one would ever dare think I would get fat again. What did I do instead? I turned my head to look at him, glared, and told him to shut up. I was shocked that I had stood up for myself, but nonetheless I was proud that the first thought that came to mind wasn't that he was right and that I should change it, but rather that it was, that's not who you are, and that the insecurities that you have don't make up who you are. Furthermore, I'd like to share with you how I've managed to become more comfortable in my own body, accept myself, and increase my self-esteem. Keep in mind that by saying I accept myself, I'm not saying that I love myself, because that's the end goal, loving yourself in your body. But accepting yourself is the first step. I think something that causes a lot of people to have a lower self-esteem is their relationships with people, those that they interact with. So on the journey of accepting yourself, separating yourself from toxic environments is a good place to start. It comes hand in hand with remembering to care for yourself as much as you care for others. In my experience, I had to let go of my community of boys and girls on social media that had the common interest of hating on our own bodies. It was sick, but I found it as a good way to cope with my problems. I realize now that the issue with that mindset and thinking is that coping isn't recovering. It's just choosing not to do anything to make your situation any better. I also had to distance myself from some close friends as I was sabotaging myself by listening to their words, actions, and their problems. And at the time, the best thing for me was to be selfish and focus on my own issues. You may be wondering, why does this matter? Now, of course, there are a healthy amount of insecurities for every person to have, as it is part of what makes us human. Yet, there are a lot of cases where it will begin to become excessive and unhealthy and start to affect daily life. According to the National Mental Health Association, suicide is the third leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-olds, as well as the leading cause of death for 5 to 15-year-olds. Additionally, a study published by the Journal of Adolescent Health found that individuals that suffered from low body image, from low body self-esteem, believe that they were overweight or believe that they were more likely to suffer from depression or suicidal thoughts. There are a lot of people that overlook insecurities, saying that it's just a phase and that it'll be gone when we mature. Well, according to the Association of Depression and Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness amongst adults in the United States. And around 40 million adults in the United States suffer from it. Most adults don't. Anxiety and insecurities are closely related, as they work together to produce negative emotions in a previously positive environment. Most adults do not seek treatment for this rather easy-to-treat illness, as they overlook their mental health. I've asked many adults about how they've overcome the insecurities, and if they have. Many of them say that they have, and that it doesn't bug them anymore. But see, what if we could do that, but not wait till we're adults and win the fight against ourselves right now? I remember one time in a therapy session, I confided with my therapist about how I feared that I would always be like this, critiquing and constantly assessing every single part of myself. For a long time, I believed the person struggling with an eating disorder would always have it, and that they just had to learn how to cope. That, however, is not true. It's the same for people with insecurities. Here's how I now think of it. Your brain has pathways and synapses and neurons. They're kind of like highways, being constantly traveled on. Now, when you consistently travel the highway in your brain where you give yourself negative self-talk or you dislike yourself, it'll become more popular and you're more accustomed to traveling on it. But what a lot of us fail to realize is that new highways can be built. Although you probably won't tend to use them at first, slowly your original highway of lies that you tell yourself will become less used and less traveled on. And sooner or later, grass will grow over it, and it'll be forgotten. And you'll have your new highway with a positive mindset. I think this is why insecurities are stuck with us most of our lives, and why it's so hard to get rid of them. The next thing I realized that changed my recovery for the better was imagining a future. The amount of time I've wasted trying to change myself to fit a mold I just wasn't meant to fit blows my mind. And I'm sure if you look back on what you've been through, it might blow your mind too. All those glances you took in the mirror where you hated the color of your eyes, the acne on your face, the extra fat under your bra, your waistline, or your cheekbones. Those glances where you could have instead been appreciating the person that you are. I personally would spend hours every day researching diet plans, exercises to try, or ways to vomit without other people noticing. Thinking this way gives you a lot of unneeded stress and anxiety. Whenever the eating disorder thoughts come up now to restrict my food intake and start my bulimic cycle all over again, I imagine my future. What? Will I continue to constantly think negatively of myself when I'm 30, 50? Or will I be one of the 1/3 of people in the United States that will at least once in their lifetime suffer from an anxiety disorder? Or will I continue to contribute to the 30 million people in the US of all ages, genders, and races that have an eating disorder? Take a moment to imagine your own future. Not the one where you're self-conscious about your weight, your height, your face, your voice. No, just imagine the happiest you. One where you don't let your insecurities get in the way of fulfilling what you want to achieve and do with your life. One where you fight the voice inside you, insulting the pieces of you that make you you. One where you're living your best life. I'm not saying that loving yourself is a way to live a perfect life, because let's be real, no one's life is perfect. But it is a way to make you drastically more content and more happy. At least more than you would be in a future where you're constantly trying bad diets, saving up money for your next liposuction, or taking humongous doses of laxatives to lose your belly pouch or double chin. Because the weight you've needed to lose all this time was never in your face, your thighs, your hips, or your butt. It was the burden of self-loathing and hatred. It was the weight of insecurity. Thank you.